Happy New Year and all that malarkey. Happy 2018. Today is New Year's Day, first day of 2018, and it's kind of like a Sunday, not a lot going on. So I'm in need of something to do before I start going out of my nuts with boredom. So today I've decided that it's about time I replaced my sparge arm. So if you've seen it in my previous videos, you would see that this is my sparge arm. It's a UPVC glued together with the UPVC glue, built about a year ago, 8 months ago maybe. It has served its purpose well. It's done very well. As you can see, there's a load of holes in there to allow for the water, so use it for recirculating as well, to kind of trickle over the mash. But the one problem I've got with this, well, I've got two problems with this. One is that over time with it heating, I don't know if you can see that, but it's bowed. It's bent as hell. So that's only going to get worse with time. So I'm in need of something that's a little bit more robust. Another problem that I got, which became really evident in my most recent brew, which was an Imperial Stout. I've brewed an Imperial Stout before, and I've had a similar thing with a double IPAs, or Imperial IPA, whatever you want to call them. And that is that the mash tun becomes very, very full, and this literally sits right on top of the mash tun. And so what happens is you end up with the holes trickling. They're kind of sat, because they're bowed especially as well, they're kind of sat in the mash, so you can't really see anything trickling over. It's not really trickling onto the mash, it's trickling into the mash. So I don't know if that has a negative effect on what it's supposed to do with the sparge, but I'm not happy with it, so it's time to replace it. So I'm going all copper. So today I'm going to build a copper sparge arm and go through the process with you. Okay, here we have the copper that I've already cut to size. What's going to happen with this? So all of this is loose, none of this is soldered in place yet, it's all loose, it's just all laid out. Soldered? Yeah, soldered, that's right. So what's going to happen is we have a central inlet valve for the silicone tubing to attach to, and that's going to filter out across all of these arms. The things that you see at the end here, these are not going to be positioned like this. The idea that I've got around this is that these are going to be like feet, they're going to be the opposite way up, so that the sparge arm sits this distance here out of the mash tun, so it'll always be raised above the mash tun. That way, if I do end up doing like a Imperial Stout or a double IPA or anything that's got a huge grain bill, this will always be raised above it. If it's just a normal mash, it doesn't matter, it's still raised above it, it just trickles a little bit further. So what I'm going to need to do first is I'm going to take each of these sections out. And so I've got this one section here. I'm going to take this out and I'm going to drill holes all the way along the whole section. I'm hoping that when I drill I don't get left with too much kind of metal on the inside of the piping, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, let's get this into my vise and we'll start drilling holes along the length of it. final final thing. So we have, there's about 60 holes that I ended up having to drill, and this is it all laid out as it's going to be fitted. Once I've drilled the holes, there are on some of them, as you can probably see, little bits of metal are kind of in the way. I'm just going to go through and sand some of this down with some wet and dry sandpaper. I've got a piece of wooden dowel that I'm going to stick through, and it'll probably knock off half of these little bits of just bits of loose metal that I don't really want in there and flowing through my wort and falling into my beer and stuff like that. I don't really want it. So you know, just to tidy it up, I'll just go through with wet and dry sandpaper and just rub some of that off, just to clear it, and then we'll get ready for soldering. A little bit too much solder on there, but doesn't matter, does the job. Okay, so that's one of the first feet. Okay, so after trials and tribulations, the original design that I had for my sparge arm went out the window. So what I found was the original design I had, where I had a middle arm and two arms on the outside, went under really high pressure. When the pump was really at full volume, the sparge would happen on all three arms, really good. As soon as I turned the pressure down, it would only happen on the middle arm. And also one thing I found was that when I was going through my recirculation coil, and the pressure would obviously drop a little bit because it's travelling through such a long distance, it would only be the middle arm that was letting the water out. So I've decided to rethink about the design, and I came up with this design. So if you can see it in the corner, it's changed quite a bit. So the one thing that I've decided to do is have these kind of central smaller arms. They've got holes drilled in the sides and in the bottom, So the idea is that they'll trickle downwards and trickle out to the side. I've ordered on eBay some balls instead, so they're called spray balls. John Campbell uses them. I've seen on one of his videos on Facebook or something that he's used these spray balls. So I'm going to have 2 of these spray balls, that's the idea. So once they turn up, I'll remove these arms that I've built here and put these spray balls on instead. So, so if I just turn the pump up now, you'll be able to see you get a really nice spray which seems to cover pretty much every part of what would be the grain bed. At the moment obviously it's just water, but it covers the grain bed. If I turn it down, let's get a nice trickle. Obviously it's not as vigorous. I can get like a really nice trickle. Obviously it just stopped there, so I turned it down too much, but yeah, I can get it down to a nice trickle. So if I'm doing a really nice gentle sparge, calm down. There we go. I can have a nice, really gentle trickle for a sparge going on, which would be really nice. So yeah, so far happy.